just to go to Antarctica is kind of a feat. I mean, you could die at any moment. There's no way to navigate the land or the volatility of the terrain out there, right?
That's true. There's only been 30 people in the history of mankind that have really skied from the coast of both places and gone to the poles.
Some explore, some lead, but Douglas Stoup, he does both on a whole different level. He's the world's top polar expedition guide, a ski and snowboard mountaineer, a cinematographer, and a reality TV star. Doug has skied to both the North and South Poles more than anyone on the planet, pushing human endurance while supporting charities and climate research. From Antarctica to Alaska, his life is all about extreme adventure, resilience, and purpose. When you fell into up to your chest, how deep were they? Were it up to your chest?
It was pretty deep. I mean, I only fell to my chest, but I looked down and I certainly was unsavable.
All right, I'm here with Douglas Stoup, and I mean we've had some people on the show talked about Antarctica, but I don't think we've ever had anybody on the show that's been to both poles, and that's what he's talking in the pregame about like Greenland and Iceland and all these places. I was like, man, I have so many questions about that, especially about Greenland. So we got to go back. I want to go back and then what built you. We always try to discover the algorithm. How'd this guy get to do what he does? So let's go back. Where are you from? You said you're from Malibu. Is that where mom and dad was from, or in that area in Venice?
No, I'm actually from Pennsylvania, but and I lived my whole adult life in California. But I grew up in central Pennsylvania and playing soccer, and that was my big thing. I did do some skiing at a little tiny ski hill called Ski Round Top, and that was where I learned how to ski, but quickly switched to snowboarding because that was the coolest thing when it was just coming out. And so I was a snowboarder. My dad was in the Army. I was born in Germany, but only lived there a couple years and then moved to Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg area. And that's where I grew up until I was to college.
So there's gives me some clues though, because dad, you were in Germany. You were in Germany for a while?
Just 3 years. So I don't remember much.
Yeah, but that does a little something. You've been introduced to different parts of the world at a young age. Maybe that sets the seeds. So high school, what were you heavily into? Snowboarding. What was the high school like?
Soccer. Soccer was my life. We were one of the best teams in the state. All state kind of thing. And I was recruited out of high school to play soccer at several universities, and that was my gig. I was really into playing, and I was really passionate about it. And I trained. My mom wouldn't know where I was at 11 o'clock at night. I'd be in the garage juggling a soccer ball, and I was passionate about it.
So how does our journey go from soccer to outdoor adventuring? Because that's basically the best way I could describe what you do.
Yeah.
Or how would you describe that?
It was fairly organic. After school, I ended up moving out to LA area and living in Malibu, and was living in Venice for a while. And I was involved in the film industry. I quickly moved I'd done some modeling in college, and had an agency already and doing commercial work. So I did some stuff in front of the camera, and it was right before the World Cup came to the United States in 1994. So I guess 92, I would go for a casting. I could juggle the ball and say my name on camera, and I got the job. And I worked with some amazing directors. I was more of the athlete, commercial actor, doing kayaking, snowboarding, mountain biking, that kind of thing. I worked with Michael Bay, and you name it. I worked with some really, back when they weren't even doing feature films yet. And I was really, really lucky. I feel so fortunate and pinched myself because I booked a lot. Like, I think in 10 years, I did over 100 commercials. I was sort of the golden boy, and a lot of athletic stuff. And, the soccer really parlayed into the working with directors. And I probably wasn't the best looking guy or the most talented, but they knew that I would give them everything that they had. And, the directors kept on hiring me, and so I was super lucky. And I did other things in LA too. I did, a season of Baywatch, and, Battle Dome Champion of the World, and, other crazy stuff that I could go on and on. But it was, I was never really wanted to be an actor, and I was trying to get out of LA and going to Talkeets and Joshua Tree and go up to the Sierras by myself and camp out and do that. And I really had a drive to go into nature. And and I love nature. And I think that was sort of the start. And then I started working behind the camera on certain feature films like Cliffhanger and Cutthroat Island, and learned a lot of the climbing skills. And to be honest, in the early 90s, I was going up to Alaska and pioneering heli skiing. And that was awesome. I'd spend like a month living in a snow cave or whatever. And then I'd go to Chamonix for a month and sort of hone the skills. And that's where I really saw what was possible, and led me to what I do today.
Very eclectic. And then, so then you're the Chamonix. I'm not familiar with Chamonix. Now, what was that all about?
Well, Chamonix is the birthplace of ski mountaineering and really just snowboard mountaineering. It's amazing. It's Mont Blanc and just the Guy de Midi and that. And we would basically climb stuff with ice tools and crampons and snowboard down. And we would rappel. I mean, some of the classic couloirs and classic ski descents require, when you get out of the lift, you have to rappel 60 feet just to start the run. And so that blew me away. And skiing some of the classics like the Cosmique and the Gervasuti, and some of the classics really sort of was my game, and I loved doing that. And they weren't always in, so we weren't always able to do them. So you had to have the right conditions, but it just showed me that you could really ski and snowboard in the big mountains. And, and I had friends that I was friends with that were over there, and they were also in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I had a dream to really go climb, ski and snowboard the highest peak in Antarctica. And that was really where it all started.
How did you get that idea?
No one had done it before. And I did a little research, and I was like, shit, no one's done that before. Let's give it a go. And I raised a bunch of money and had an all-star team of a guy named Doug Coombs from Jackson. He was a legendary skier that worked over in Le Grave as well. And, he was also pioneering heli skiing in Alaska and world extreme champion as well. So I met him up there, and I met some other guys, and we put a small team together, and we were successful. And to be honest with you, that's where I fell in love with Antarctica, is on that first trip in the interior where nothing is living. And I landed on this ice runway, and, I wanted to see more. And 2 months later, I chartered a Russian research vessel, went down to the Antarctic Peninsula, and saw a whole different area of Antarctica. And basically it was, all the penguins and seals and whales. And I pioneered skiing down in Antarctica. And since then, since the first trip, I've been there 60 times.
Wow. 60 times. So just to give the audience, I'll be a buffer, because I've never been there, but I've had people on the show. And because you 60 times, you probably, to tell the novice person, Antarctica, just flying in there is like a feat unto itself. Just to go to Antarctica is kind of a feat, and the fact that you ski across, I mean, you were just saying in the pregame, the crevasses. I mean, you could die at any moment going skiing there, because you don't know. There's no way to navigate the land or the volatility of the terrain out there, right?
That's true. There's only been 30 people in the history of mankind that have really skied from the coast of both places and gone to the pole. So it's a select crew. There's not a lot of us out there. I'm an international polar, guide and, master guide, and been doing it a while. I've crossed Antarctica 4 times. And, one of my trips, I recreated Ernest Shackleton's intended route of 1914 through 1916. And that was from the Filchon ice shelf, 47 days, unsupported. And I fell into 4 different crevasses, up to my chest. And I was able to extract myself and continue the journey.
When you fell into up to your chest, how deep were they? Were it up to your chest?
It was pretty deep. I mean, I only fell to my chest, but I looked down, and I certainly was unsavable. I only had a 30-meter rope, so there's no way that I was going to get out.
Oh my God.
I fell in. So, I have a lot of guardian angels, and that's been sort of been very, very lucky. And I knock on wood. I mean, I just try to be safe. And I took a blind guy across Antarctica. I took a guy in a wheelchair from the coast, Swedish guy, Aaron Anderson, he was in a sit ski, and we climbed, almost 9,000 vertical feet from the coast to the geographic South Pole. And that was freaking amazing to watch him. And we did it 500 miles in 24 days.
Oh my
so,
God.
I'm a professional sufferer. And I've done 19 last degree trips to the South Pole. No one's even done half that many. Done 17 last degree trips to the North Pole. I skied from Siberia to the North Pole in 52 days with 2 friends back in 2005, 27 polar bear encounters. So yeah, I'm a seasoned bipolar explorer. I call myself more of an adventurer. I don't really call myself an explorer, but I'm not really into self-promotion. I just like to go out there and do it and have a good time. And now I'm a little bit later in my life, and I'm really into mentorship, and I mentor young people. I get people emailing me and calling me every day saying, "Hey, I want to do what you do." And I was like, "Hold on, it really doesn't work out that way. Let's have a plan." So.
Conceptually, it's easy, but once you have to do the physicality of it all, everything changes. Did you do, you've done the North Pole. Now, did you do the South, you do Antarctica before you did the North Pole?
No, so to rewind a little bit, I did the Vincent Massif with my friends, and we're successful on that. And then 2 months later, I chartered a Russian research vessel, went down to the Antarctic Peninsula. 6 months later, I was asked to guide a blind guy and his sight guide who was deaf from the coast of Antarctica to the South Pole. So that was my first trip, 787 miles and 62 days. So I learned.
That was after the North Pole. You did the North Pole first.
No, I didn't do the North Pole till 2005. This was 2000. So I'd done the South Pole, 3 trips to South Pole, or three trips to Antarctica in the first year.
Wow.
Meet the Bolo Pack, the ultimate travel companion that transforms into a hammock, a pop-up tent, and even a cooler. Whether you're hiking, camping, or chilling at the beach, the Bolo Pack has you covered. First up, the Bolo Pack is a sleek, compact backpack, perfect for day trips or long adventures. Need a break? With a simple pull, the Bolo Pack transforms into a relaxing hammock, perfect for catching your breath during hikes. Planning to spend the night? The Bolo Pack also converts into a pop-up tent, giving you shelter wherever you go. And the best part? The Bolo Pack doubles as a cooler, keeping your food and drinks fresh for hours. Let me show you how easy it is to switch between modes. First, the hammock. Just a few simple steps, and you're ready to relax. Next, the pop-up tent for quick shelter setup. And finally, the cooler function, ensuring you stay refreshed on the go. From day hikes to weekend getaways, the Bolo Pack adapts to your needs. Whether you're chilling, camping, or keeping your snacks cool, ready to upgrade your travel game? Get your Bolo Pack today and take your adventures to the next level. Link in the description.
You know why I asked? This is very interesting to me because that's the harder. I mean, I would think that would be harder. I don't know, but I would think it'd be harder. But then, doing the North Pole, did you take it kind of like, well, I've done Antarctica. I mean, I've heard how was your attitude towards that?
You never take anything, lightly. It takes training, planning and preparation leads to success. So, I mean, the North Pole is a moving environment. So you can actually get on a treadmill, and there's not like a simple equation saying, "Hey, I got 5 more days to get there." It could take you 10 more days because you're being pushed backwards when you set up a tent. And you also have polar bears that you're dealing with. You got open water leads that you're swimming across 12 times a day. It's and the navigation is more like a sailing boat, so it's a lot more interesting to me. The navigation in the South Pole is basically, I need to be point A to point B, and today I need to do 10.2 nautical miles today and every day after that, and I'll be there, and how much food and fuel you have. So it's all calculated, and all you do is think about that stuff, and it's a very simplistic way of life, very civilized.
Did you do Iceland before you did Greenland?
I had been to Iceland and I was fascinated by it. I did do Greenland, and I actually kited across Greenland when I was in 2003, I think, from east to west, and did that solo. And it's, I love Greenland. I run ski and sail trips there still. And it's I did a TV show there a few years back, Ice Cold Gold, which was a sort of living in a tent for a couple months in the summer.
Which one did you do first, Greenland or Iceland?
I did Iceland first and then Greenland, but Antarctica was the start of my sort of polar career. I'd been to the Himalayas around the same time as well, and did, I think, 15 or 17 trips to the Himalayas, climbed Choyu, 6th highest peak in the world without oxygen, and snowboarded it. And
without oxygen, that's a key thing, man. You talk to a lot of people that do it oxygen, but without oxygen, that's a key note right there.
Yeah, but it's pretty, it wasn't like I was like wanting to do it in that style. It was like I couldn't afford it. So it was like no Sherpa help, no oxygen.
Wow.
We were on our
No
own. Just two
Sherpa.
friends.
You didn't have a Sherpa help you.
No, we
Oh
just
my
did
God.
it.
Okay. So the reason why I asked about Iceland, Greenland, because fascinating history behind those two land, now I don't know much about Greenland. Tell us a little bit about Greenland.
Well, Greenland's 80% ice. So it's one big ice cap, and the land is only around the outside. It's sort of a little bit elongated. I think it's about 570 miles in width in some places. It does get a little bit wider. There's some beautiful mountains there. It does have a lot of polar bears in the north. So it's one of these, it's like, I think the biggest island. I think it's maybe not as big as Antarctica, but it does hold a bunch of ice. And it also only has about 56,000 people and governed by Denmark, believe it or not.
Yeah. And what was your journey like out there?
It was solo, and I love doing solo stuff because you really only have to take care of yourself. You don't have to worry about other people.
That would be that would freak me out. You just went alone to Greenland to do your adventure out there.
Yeah, I think you know how far you can push it. And I think I've sort of been working on that for my polar career really didn't start till I was 36 years old. So, I know what I'm capable of and I know what I can push. And sometimes that dynamic always isn't there when you have other people. I'm more taking care of people and making sure that they can do that, and it, like I said, it goes back to the training, the planning and training that goes into it, leads to success. And if you are prepared, I'm more prepared. Like if I was taking a friend and I could carry him and his stuff and my stuff, and we usually carry sleds. So a sled that I helped design where it's man hauling, you have a harness, and you're pulling stuff over a polar plateau where there's snow. So, and sometimes we're using kites, sometimes we're not, but it's something that pushing the limits of human endurance is what it's about. And I've done that on a paddleboard too, across around Lake Tahoe, and places like that, and Molokai to Oahu and other places. So
no matter what the adventure, no matter what the situation or business or anything, preparation is 95% of success is preparation.
Absolutely.
So you let's go through the pantheons of this, because you've gone through such a fast, like a large amount and such a fast clip. Take us through, you're starting off in Iceland or in Antarctica, and take us through the pantheons of what you've done as far as these outdoor adventures.
I don't know, man. It's everything is different. Like I did do a lot of the polar stuff. After I did the blind guy, Miles Hilton Barber, you sort of forget about the suffering that you do on those things and you want to do it again. It's sort of crazy. And I, had other projects come up. I was mostly a guide, so I wasn't really doing it for myself. And, for now it's really, I've done all these 19 last degree trips. It's about clients would come to me and said, hey, we want to do a last degree trip, and I won't take them unless we raise money for charity. And I don't have any reason to do it anymore, unless we have a purpose. And so that's been sort of this Pied Piper type of thing. And same thing with North Pole. I don't do it unless there's basically a philanthropy involved in it. And that's been really rewarding too. And I think I teach a lot of the mentorships that way too. You need to have expeditions with purpose, and whether it's science, whether it's raising money or awareness, whatever that may be. The handicap guy, we raised 2.2 million euros for childhood cancer. That's how he had his tumor removed from his back, so he couldn't walk anymore. So it's, the blind guy had, he was trying to raise money for the Royal National Institute of the Blind. So it really is something that's important to me to do it. I don't need to do it anymore. So if we can find a way, and I think that's been my ethos really as this polar career has been going on, and I am getting a little bit long in the tooth. I don't know how many more I'll do. I still do the ski guiding, and I love ski touring, which is basically human powered. We use skins and go uphill, and we got to carry beacon shovel probes and I live in Lake Tahoe, and there was actually an inbound ski resort that had a death yesterday, and because they were just caught in a slide, at Palisades, and it was a sad day here in Tahoe yesterday. And I helped out with the search a little bit, and there was, I think, 4 people caught in it, and one guy got hurt, and one guy didn't make it, and he was, 66-year-old male, and these days, I mean, I've lost a lot of friends in the mountains, and it's always very hard, and at least I feel that, I'm trying to be as cautious and safe as possible. I have avalanche, certifications and, and all my guide certifications. So it's, I have no problem walking away. I'm here to live. I'm not here to have a death wish.
Let's talk about danger, because you're in a dangerous business. I mean, as we're in sometimes really come close to really dangerous situations. Like, what are some of those?
Oh shit. I don't know. My ex-wife driving down the East Side Highway. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
A lot of people have ex-wife stories as far as danger is concerned. But
right. I mean, rock fall, all kinds of stuff that you don't even realize, and I think that goes back to the guardian angel thing. But, I think the crevasse, falling in those crevasses was truly a frightening thing for me, but you got to have a plan in place. My client that was with me, I said, if I disappeared, just turn around and go back. You have a sat phone, call in the plane. Don't even try to come to the edge, because I knew that they're like 500 foot deep and there's no way for me to get out.
Yeah, let's preface that for people. So you're crossing a plane, and you hit a crevice and you go chest deep, but your feet are below you is 500 feet of just air. And then it's staggering. Now, did you look down when you went through?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You look down and you just sort of try to keep your composure and not move too much, because that bridge could break away. And let me just give you a little example. Antarctica is like a dome. Okay. And so basically we started on the coast where it might be only 100 meters deep. And then you're climbing 3,000 or 9,000 feet to get up on the polar plateau, and then it undulates. So because it's a downward hill, it's going over rocks and creating crevasses. And so sometimes when it snows and windy, some of those crevasses gets covered, and they're called snow bridges. And sometimes they're very uniform and you can sort of dictate them. But where I was, there was glaciers coming in from several different angles. So it was a labyrinth of trying to figure it out. It was not systematic where I see the glacier and all the crevasses are going uniform and perpendicular to the hill. They were coming from all different. So it's very hard to determine where they actually were. And I'd unhook myself from my sled. My sled weighed almost 300 pounds, and I'd navigate through and try to keep my ski tracks. And I was probing the whole way, and I'd go.
What's the tool that you use to stick into the snow? What's that tool called?
It's a probe.
A probe. It's called. It looks does it look like a hook with kind of like an axe almost, or
no hook? That's an axe, but it's just basically I'm just looking and making sure if it feels like it's
like a pickaxe. It looks like, or is it like a screwdriver kind of shape? What's the shape like?
It actually has a wire inside and can fold up, and then you pull the end, and it actually makes it can be 2.5 meters long or 3 meters long. And so I can go down to, and probe where I can actually feel. And if there was a body that's in an avalanche, I don't mean to be morbid, but you could actually feel the probe hit somebody's body and know that it's a human rather than a rock or something hard. But I can tell that there's density of snow throughout that when you're probing. And I'll probe for, 100 meters, and then say, okay, I'll turn around and came back and stayed in the same track and told the guy, don't go out of my track, told my client. So,
wow. That's what you did. You probed.
That was like 9 or 10 days of that. And then you got up on the polar plateau, and then there was some crevasses, but you'd sort of have to turn your ski. The ice wasn't moving as fast. So you could navigate around them, and it's basically just a straight shot to the pole. A lot of navigation stuff. I had compasses and GPS, but I usually navigate by compass. I also have like a little, like a telltale, like in a helicopter or a windsock. I put on my little or on a sail on a sailboat. You can actually tell the wind direction, and so I can navigate in a complete whiteout and know exactly that I'm going south by just the angle. There's also things called sastrugi, which is caused by wind, and you could usually tell the angle where the ski is and the angle which the sastrugi is, and you can know the direction you're going to. So those are two and I was almost more accurate on whiteout conditions where you couldn't even see the skis than I was in the sun. When the sun is out, you got 24 hours of sun in Antarctica and also up in on the Arctic Ocean. So at least not at the beginning. Like I left March 1 to go to the North Pole and I only had 5 hours of light, but by March 22nd, I had 24 hours of sun. But down in Antarctica, 24 hours of sun. So at 2:22 in the afternoon, I could see my shadow right here and I knew the south was dead ahead. And it would just sort of be a time thing. And at 4:15, I knew that south was right in front of me. So it's very easy to navigate when the sun is out, and there's different tools that you can use. And I've learned, and that's why people hire me, because they don't want to go the wrong way.
That's fascinating. Yes.
Yeah.
So where are you at today? Like, what are you planning? What's going on with you this month happening?
I've been traveling a lot. I did a trip to the Maldives in October or September. And then
what's the Maldives like? I hear Gal Gadot talk about that. She goes, she loves to vacation in the Maldives.
It was really, really amazing. It's great for surfing. I'm planning to do more yoga and wellness and surf trips there. There's great diving there. It is in the Indian Ocean, so it's pretty far away. So you want to stay like 2 weeks. But there's some beautiful islands there, great diving, snorkeling, swimming with whale sharks. Really cool. And the surf is really good. Other than this Australian guy, I went to a surf break and he got bit by a shark. But other than that,
what kind of shark did he get bit by?
Looked like a reef shark, or I'm not quite sure, because it was. Basically, I was paddling toward this buoy, a 5-gallon jug that was moving around. And I was like, we were all in the lineup. And I was like, what the freak? That thing's moving around. And so I paddled over, and this other guy was faster, and he started pulling up the line. And it was a shark, like a fisherman must have just attached the thing to it that was on his line, and just to keep it out of his net. And so the thing was frightened, obviously, and it probably wouldn't bite if he wasn't so frightened, but he had a hook in him and he was bringing it up, and the shark saw him and he bit him in the leg. And so I had to grab his tourniquet on his board, on his leash, and put it around, do my whole, wilderness first responder course right in the water there. But anyway, I was in Maldives in October or September. Antarctica, we run 100 skiers to Antarctica with 35 mountain guides on a ship down to the Antarctic Peninsula, which is amazing. That's 13 days, 12 nights. And that was in October. November, I did an Amazon trip where we stand up paddle fishing and yoga, and we catch peacock bass, and it's amazing. And that's like a 2-week trip too. And then after that, that was November. December, I went back to Antarctica on a yacht and did some ski guiding. And now I'm back home skiing, and we're getting some snow, and I'm going back to Antarctica next week
you got a lot of. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, I'm a dreamer. I dreamed up stuff. I still got a few things I want to do. There's like, I want to do, I don't know if I should give it away.
Yeah. Let's talk about the long term. I always ask this at the end, what's the big view here? What's your long-term goals? Give us the big picture here. Send us off with that.
Well, it's, I'm a dreamer and I dream up stuff. And I think there's a few really athletic things I'd like to do before I get too old and, can't get off the couch. But, I'll continue skiing. I'll continue doing Antarctic trips. I'll continue my surf thing and all that kind of stuff until I can't do it anymore. So I just turned 60 and was on my 60th,
great, man. That outdoor living makes you look a lot younger.
60th trip to Antarctica on my 60th birthday, which was pretty cool. But I have this one expedition I want to do called Source to Sea, and it's climb. Basically, Nat Geo has claimed that Mount Mismi in Peru is the start of the Amazon River. Okay, so that mountain is a little over 18,000 feet. So I would climb it, ski it, come down, get on a mountain bike 350 kilometers to Puerto Maldonado in Peru, and that's the start of the Amazon River. I mean, other than the mountain delivering water down to the true Amazon River, and then stand up paddle 2,500 miles all the way to the Atlantic. And so that's called Source to Sea. We would bring a film crew, talk about the hydroelectric dams, the deforestation, the indigenous tribes, the wildlife, and the adventure. It would be like a Tour de France. You get on your support boat and get a massage and eat well and sleep and do it again the next day. It'd be like Groundhog Day. So you do that 50 days in a row. You'll get there,
So you're the guy. If somebody wants to go to Antarctica, or any of these expeditions, that's what you're doing now. Somebody wants to go with, but especially if Antarctica, which is like, if you got to have the right person. I guess the Himalayas also, you know, a lot of these things, you want the right person.
Ice Axe Expeditions. That's my company. And
you're the guy, like, no one could say, it's like, well, who's gone there the most? It's Douglas Stoup, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, I just happy to take people and hopefully they become ambassadors of the place, because it's truly pristine and clean and just remarkable. And there's no place like it on the planet. It's like as close as being on Mars.
Right. Yes, but well, you know, I went to West Texas. I went to Terlingua, Texas. That was like being on Mars. Like, you know, at the time,
like Big Bend.
Yeah. You know, but Big Bend has got a little bit more greenery. Terlingua was just like, there was like no vegetation at all this time of year, you know, but at least you go, there's ice, there's snow, there's, you know.
And it's a lot of different colors too. It's not just a white world. There's 50,000-year-old glacial ice. And even when you're going in the Zodiac, you hear the oxygen and the CO2 being released from the ice. And it's this wild energy that's coming. And just to be able to have a perspective, I'm the only company that takes people up in the mountains, you know, so we're roped up and we go maybe 1,500 feet to a top of something. And the views are outstanding. And then we ski down to the penguins and seals and whales. And it's truly remarkable.
I just want to say, you know, it's been a privilege talking to you. You know, I mean, there's a person who's done this more than anybody else, and we got to get a small taste of that world. And I just so thankful that I could talk to you today, and you could, you know, share these stories with us. It's just absolutely fantastic. So, Douglas Stoup, tell everybody how they can find out more about you, so they can maybe, you know, have a venture with you.
Yeah, you can follow on Instagram, Iceman Doug, Ice Axe Expeditions. Look us up online. We got a website, and Expedition Terra is all our surf wellness stuff. Check us out. Yeah, if you're ever interested, just give me a holler, send me an email, answer any questions you might have, and just dream big and dare to fail.
Douglas Stoup, thank you so much for sharing. Absolutely outstanding.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to BOLOTOR.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.